This is the Lightning Storm build. It doesn't require any mythic item and you will be able to do whatever you want in Torment 4. With our Tempest Roar and Mad Wolf Glee, it will be enough to enjoy the game however you like, push the pit, farm dungeons, orcs, and even kill the toughest bosses. I'm Zaior and today you will be able to build a powerful stab with ease. Let's get into the video. Hello my fellow druids. Today I'm bringing you a build loved by the community and fans of Storm skills, the Lightning Storm build. This time we'll be using our ultimate Grizzly Rage, making the most out of these seasonal buffs with the new Ravenbeard aspect. The key items to make this build work will be, first and most important, Tempest Roar. This item makes our Storm skills also count as Werewolf skills. In this case, the most important one we'll be using is Lightning Storm. With this helm, we can take much better advantage of the skill, since it will benefit from passives like Toxic Claws or Lupine Ferocity, Paragon boards like Last of Carnage, and glyphs like Fang and Claw. This gives us more damage multipliers for Lightning Storm. The second key item is Unsung Ascetics, which give us one additional Lightning Strike, and critical hits will make our strikes hit twice and deal 40% more damage. It's an incredible passive that boosts our damage. They also give skill ranks to Lightning Storm. They are amazing. The third item is Mad Wolf Glee, which gives us +7 ranks to all Werewolf skills. And in this case, Lightning Storm is a Werewolf skill thanks to Tempest Roar. Its affixes are also really useful, like the damage increase to our key passive Lupine Ferocity and Werewolf attack speed. And finally, we'll use our ultimate Grizzly Rage, with the Dire Wolf aspect, which turns our ultimate into a Werewolf skill. That means we can use Werewolf skills like Lightning Storm and Cyclone Armor, plus companion skill that will be very useful for this build in terms of damage. I will explain them later in the skill tree. Let's move on to the game loop. Before activating Grizzly Rage, make sure you have 6 stacks of Quick Shift active. You will do that by using your teleport and casting Lightning Storm. Once you have all 6 stacks activated your ultimate, and you can start casting Lightning Storm freely. It's really easy. We will use Blood Howl to increase our attack speed and therefore our DPS. Companions are very important thanks to the passive Clarity. Clarity increases our damage and crit chance by up to 45% after using a companion skill. And this build is all about hitting crits as often as possible. With this passive, we will achieve that and boost our damage too. That's why we use Pack Leader, to reset our companions and use them as often as needed. From time to time, the Ravens will cast on enemies and strike with Lightning Storm. That's the core of the build. It's honestly not hard to understand or put together. Let's break down the rest of the build in more detail. The gear is pretty easy to get. It's accessible for everyone. I have some really good items, but I will leave the important gear in the planner so you know what to aim for. We'll start with Tempest Roar. I already explained it. Here you want to raise the affix of Wild Impulse, which give more damage to our core skill, Lightning Storm in this case. For the chest, we will use Mad Wolf Glee, which give us +7 ranks to Lightning Storms. Raise the affix for a percentage to Lupine Ferocity. The gloves have to be Unsung Ascetics. Raise the Lightning Storm ranks here. We will use Devil's Will, which gives 20% more damage. I recommend raising damage reduction here, since this build can be a little squishy. For the boots, go for Willpower, Armor, and Movement Speed. Temporary movement speed and lucky hit. We will put the Dire Wolf aspect here, which lets us use Grizzly Rage. Our main weapon will be a dagger for faster casting. Look for willpower, max life, and critical strike damage. Tempering is very important for the weapon and the totem. Boost the chance of Lightning Storm to deal double damage. The other tempering should be Werewolf attack speed, since you will be able to cap crit chance using Globes, Totem, and Clarity passive. The aspect here will be Retaliation. The totem works the same way as the weapon, but one affix will be critical strike chance. The aspect here is Rampaging Werbeast. As for the amulet, I always prefer a regular one. The one I recommended for this build is hard to find, but if you get one with at least one passive like Envenom, Clarity, or Toxic Claws, you are good to go. The aspect here is Ravenbeard, which turns our damage into poison. The first ring should have willpower, attack speed, and resistance to all elements to cap resistance and not worry about it. Aspect here challenges depth. Tempering, one ring should have Grizzly Rage duration and the other Werewolf attack speed. and Grizzly Rage cooldown reduction on both. The second ring, we have the Unsatiated aspect, which increases the damage of our wealth of skills. The skill tree has no complications. We will use passives and skills that most players already know. We'll start with 2 points into Maul, nothing important, then 5 points into Lightning Storm, and we will use Raging Lightning Storm to gain 1 extra strike, which means more DPS. First important passive, Wild Impulse. These make core skills deal more damage, but they cost more spirit, still worth it. Defensive skill, Bloodhowl, with preserving Bloodhowl to increase attack speed. We can use Cyclone Armor on the skill bar since Mad Wolf Glee gives ranks to werewolf skills. Companions will play a key role in this build, that thanks to the Clarity passive, which has amazing synergy with this build. It boosts crit chance and damage by 45% when maxed out. This build needs over 90% crit chance to fully benefit from Unsung Ascetics and our key passive Lupine Ferocity. Envenom and Toxic Claws are must-haves in almost every Druid build. We will put more points here too. Another useful passive for survivability is Circle of Life, which heals as when nature magic skills consume spirit. 5 points into Grizzly Rage is essential, and our key passive will be Lupine Ferocity, which increases the damage of our crits by 122%. Let's move on to Paragon. The setup is very similar to most Storm builds like Tornado. We will start with Headhunter to increase willpower and elite damage. Second board, Last of Carnage, where critical hits restore 2 spirits and deal 50% more damage. Very important for this build. We will use the Fang and Claw glyph here to boost close enemy damage by 12% in werewolf form. Third board, Thunderstruck. This is the key board that increases Lightning Storm damage by 60%. Glyph here is Earth and Sky, which boosts damage to vulnerable enemies by 10%. The fourth board, Handed Malice, for more poison damage to mobs and bosses. Glyph here is Spirit, which boosts critical strike damage significantly. The last board, I use Sinister Tendrils because I needed more resistance to all elements, otherwise I wouldn't survive. It also increases damage against poison enemies by 35%. Glyph here is Keeper, which boosts non-physical damage by 50%. These are the boons we will use. Gift of the Stack, to regenerate the spirit and avoid resource issues. I use Iron Feather because this build struggles with tankiness in battle. If you feel tanky enough, you could swap for swooping attacks. Avian Rat is mandatory for more damage, and the pack leader to repeatedly use Ravens and trigger Clarity. And finally, Calm Before the Storm, which is necessary to reset our ultimate in boss fights, since this build doesn't deal overpowered damage. Our catalyst will be Disintegrate, and the infusion Nebulous Extract to reduce incoming damage by 10%, very useful for survivability. For the Arcanas, Bloody Charm to execute enemies, Bottle Wind for a barrier equal to 50% of your max life, helps with sustain, and Fracture Core to remove enemies' auras. The first gem we will use is Idol from Below, which gives plus 6% core stat and max life. Seal of Daniel for plus 30% barrier and fortify, and lastly, Scornful Light, which boosts your damage by 20%, but you take 10 more. Runes will give us more damage and utility. First pair, Nagu Om. Om increases base damage by 50% multiplicatively, counting all our build stats. Very powerful rune. The second pair, Igni Kree. Kree helps group mobs together to optimize your AoE damage. Well, my fellow druids, I'm leaving you with a Pit 93 run using this build without mythics. It's pretty strong even without the most powerful items in the game. It's a solid and easy to assemble setup, especially for those who've been asking for non-mythic builds. In the planner, I will leave the farming version a human for concept, still untested, one with mythics and other using Malefic Crescent. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a like and a sub to reach more druids and grow our community. Thanks for the support, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. See you in Sanctuary.